Hello Internet, Gino, aka That Pinguino, here again with another baby deep look. This time I'm taking a look at The Witcher 2, and in particular I'm looking at the combat of The Witcher 2 and the battle that broke me. The battle that forced me, or made me feel like changing the game to easy was more productive and useful than bashing my head against the game on normal. So I'll go ahead and before I show off some of the combat, let me show you how I spec'd, just in case you're familiar with the game and you notice something dumb that I've done that I didn't know, because this was the first time I played through The Witcher 2. I beat it earlier this week, and so I didn't really know what I was doing going on. If you're not familiar with The Witcher 2, it is an action-adventure role-playing game. The combat is mostly kind of button mash, action-adventure, swing swords, cut fools. But a lot of the stats are governed by RPG-style equipment, and you have to unlock some basic abilities. Like, this footwork ability increases the distance you roll in combat, so your dodge rolls become more effective. You have to unlock the ability to riposte, which lets you counter-attack. Take less damage from backstabs, and a whole bunch of other stuff, like deal damage to enemies around you. So instead of just damaging the enemy you're targeting, you damage everyone who physically gets hit by your animation. So I dumped a bunch of points into swordsmanship because I know how to play action-adventure games, and it seemed like a useful thing to be able to do. Cutting dudes is pretty fun, and it's pretty easy. So I dumped a lot of points into that. Magic. I didn't know what most of the magic did because they've got weird names like Ard and Quen and Igni and Yurden. A whole bunch of stuff that is not English and is very hard for me to understand. They don't really explain what most of this magic does during the normal course of playing the game. There's a little tutorials like here or there, but I didn't have time to read all that stuff. I didn't want to read through all of the codex pages, so I didn't use most stuff. So I hear Quen is quite good, but I didn't unlock higher levels of it. I just unlocked higher level Ard, which is kind of a force push, and that's what I used to get through most of the game. In terms of alchemy, I unlocked Alchemist and Side Effects, which I wish that I didn't unlock anything in the alchemy tree because I did not like making stuff. And the basic abilities, I wish that I didn't put any points in arrow redirection or parrying because I didn't like blocking. I found blocking to be basically useless. And then, in terms of my actual equipment, I've got a sweet poison sword, some decent armor, some regular boots, some herbalist gloves, some superb trousers, and an elemental trophy. And I'm not going to use my silver sword here. So let me go ahead and equip my bombs that I made for this battle. And before I go into the fight, The Witcher 2, if you're not familiar with the game, the combat is very heavy on preparation for battle. So I'm going to use this Hangman's Venom to increase the amount of damage I deal to human enemies, because all the enemies I'm going to be fighting here are human. And in addition to that, I've taken a potion that increases my overall damage output, I believe, by 10%.
This is the smuggler I spoke
So
of.
I have prepped a lot. This battle, Crown Witness, is basically a protracted escort mission where I have to protect this woman, Brigitte, from a whole bunch of mercenaries that want to kill her. And unfortunately, the mage here always gets the first action in the fight, and he will just spam spells the whole fight if you don't kill him up. Puts up a shield that absorbs all damage. This is going poorly. I can't let her die, and I cannot die. There's a mage who's ranged. There's two bandits with arrows. There's two bandits with swords. And if I'm dealing with the arrow bandits, the sword bandits tend to focus on Brigitte, which is a problem. Okay, I managed to eliminate everyone. Unfortunately, Brigitte should really not be involved in this fight. She should really want to run away. She doesn't. Luckily, I've gotten a lot better at this game since I made that change, so I actually got through that fight pretty easily. But the main issue I had early on was, one, I did not realize that I had to rush the mage immediately. Best advice, mages need to die. Magic users, just kill them. They're always a problem. You need to kill the mages, then the archers. I didn't realize that. It was getting very frustrating. She would run directly into the swordsman and the shield guy, and then just get mauled by them. I would try to chase this mage, and he'd do that little shield thing, and he'd just spam spells and kill me, or kill her, or something else would happen. I'd hit the shield guy when I was trying to target someone else, and then that would screw up all my attack chains, and that would, just arrows and magic, and it always went bad. So, it turns out in easy mode, shields don't deflect your attacks anymore. You deal less damage instead of straight up not being able to hurt enemies. So that made everything a whole lot easier. Also, the first couple of times I attempted this, I did not really take advantage of using spells and items before the fight, because I thought that I would be able to just skillfully dodge and roll and do all of that kind of stuff. And it turns out, no. In tough battles in The Witcher 2, you really need to prep for battles with all sorts of potions and items and stuff like that to buff all of your stats as best you can to equip yourself. The really big headache with this was the first time I did it, I died and failed, and the only autosave in this area is like 2 battles before the one that I just did. So it sent me all the way back to the front, and it was really frustrating. So I would say, if you're going to play The Witcher 2 and leave the combat on normal, save liberally, because there is no guarantee that the fight you are going to get into is going to have an autosave before it or after it. And also, I tried blocking some and using different spells. I would say, don't block if you're going to play The Witcher 2's combat. That got me through normal, just kind of dodge rolling and getting out of the way of people. Blocking almost always cost me my life, because you get surrounded and then you run out of block juice, and then you just start getting wailed on. Another little fun tip about the combat, I found that if you take your sword out and roll places, it is way faster than walking. That's not really about why I turned the difficulty down, but I found it saved me a bit of time navigating the world, just rolling everywhere. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. The combat in The Witcher 2 is not bad. It is definitely enjoyable. I had a great time with almost all of it. It is just this fight and some of the other fights around this part of the game just were so frustrating, with dealing with multiple enemies, several of whom are ranged, and mixing that in with shield guys who you have to get around or knock aside to actually damage. It can get really, really annoying. So, hope you enjoyed this video. I'll have up some more videos on The Witcher 2, at least one more, in the near future. So, till next time, peace!